What's up, YouTube? What's up, Extreme Gains family? I'm Chuck. This is Extreme Gains. I am not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is or ever will be financial advice. Please do not take it as such. Today is Sunday, May 8th, 2022, and this is the AMC, GME, and SPY Algo Exposed weekly update and preparation video for the upcoming week tomorrow and beyond. It's also Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all you mamas out there. I hope you enjoyed your day. You are all greatly appreciated. I want to go over all the regulars. I go over my snake algos for AMC, GME, and SPY, as well as macro comparatives. So with all that said, let's dig in. On your screen is AMC and my intra-week snake algo. Now, the previous intra-week snake is, as you see it on here in green, come on, right there, projection and fulfillment, the latter part from the mid to the latter part of last week. There's where we currently sit on the 1 hour chart within that snake, and you can see its projection from where it is at currently, moving into tomorrow and beyond. However, if we decide to divert to the downside in an attempt to stay out in front of this thing like I try to do, this is the potential snake that I believe it would be. You can see that both of them have an initial replication of potential upcoming projection. And obviously then the generalized perspective, one is up, one is down. Very similar to the macro comparative that I've been looking at. The macro comparative, the blue one, is the macro double-double from the macro descending wedge prior to the January 2021 run-up, which is shown here. I have literally been showing this every day on this channel since I started streaming back in December. Now, most recently here, this bottom over here, I recognized was replicating itself over here. And I used a clip of that bottom to give projection and fulfillment in its entirety, basically from when we got down below $19 down to where we're at now. I had noticed a potential for an inverted mirroring here, and it happened twice that I had talked through that prior to it happening, and then it fulfilled. Currently, looking at both of these, this is where one is indicating, and that's the green, that the bottom potentially is in right now, at least this bottom, and then it looks and appears to be a W formation with the left hand side of that W formation in already, and an indication moving forward is potential short-term pullback, and then obviously generalized perspective of macro movements would be upside. Then the macro comparative, the blue one that we've been looking at every day on this channel since December, I believed we had converged back with it last week, and the indication from it, I guess you could interpret this as a potential for short-term move upside, but it's consolidation, and then the generalized perspective of macro movements is downside. However, no matter how you look at this, this thing is looking, this thing is looking right there. Like, if this bottom is what we are currently in, legit, we are currently in this bottom. If we are, this thing's real close to being primed for a nice move to the upside. So that's exciting to think about, exciting to look at. Specifically, if you've been with me for some time, I've been tracking this entire macro fractal and this macro comparative from way back up here, even before I came on YouTube, and have been tracking it down throughout all of this. So there it is. So if this were to be where we're at, no matter if it's going to be this bottom that's already in the green from the previous bottom, and we get a replication of that move to the upside, or if we have one more leg to the downside and then we move upside, it does appear that potentially if it continues to follow this comparative, that there should be an upcoming move to the upside. Hopefully, fingers crossed, right? All right. Oh, real quick, I did put some levels in here that I am personally using, dependent upon which macro comparative this chooses to continue to follow. If it is the green one, once this W formation gets fulfilled, I'm looking for the neckline breakout to the upside of 1450 to confirm that move to the upside. If the bottom of the W breaks to the downside at the 1365 level, that would be my indication that we're potentially running to the downside for that last leg down. Also, I've talked in the previous videos about this intra-week snake being on a smaller time frame than the macro comparative. That gives insight as to potentially which one we AMC would be following prior to seeing it translate to a macro 4-hour or daily movement and follow the macro comparative. Excuse me. So I will be using the intra-week snakes for that as well. And you can also see that they are a direct reflection and replication of one another in that form, where the green intra-week snake is the indication of the green macro comparative single bottom and move to the upside, whereas the blue is a replication and indication of that move back to the downside for the last leg for potentially the OG, I guess, macro comparative bottom here prior to the move to the upside. So that's AMC in its entirety of what I'm looking at. GME, I have the intra-week snake here on GME, and it has not yet diverted from this, so I'm going to leave it on there until it does. Now, it is a little bit different than AMC's blue one to the downside, obviously. However, this one essentially would run with AMC's green one to the upside. So if it were to do that, you can see the projection from that looks to be that this bottom is almost in here, and then you get generalized perspective of macro movement to upside from this intra-week snake. However, if we were to consolidate in some manner, even a short-term ascending manner, but then fall to the downside and run with that blue macro comparative with AMC, as you know, I would be clipping another intra-week snake when that diverts and use either the day prior to or the day of diversion for that clip. And I would determine that upon initial placement of the new snake. But that's what I'm looking at with GME, potentially going into tomorrow and beyond. And then there's SPY. SPY, I have been using the macro comparative from the 08-09 correction and crash in what I've called the extended version. That is the red macro comparative here. And where we are within that currently is right here. You can see that the indication from it for a potential upcoming projection appears to be upside, whether you want to look at it as an ascending consolidation upside, or the short term appears to be an upside move from that macro comparative projection in this placement. Then the current snake for SPY is this yellow one here. And you can see the two previous yellow ones that had given projection and fulfillment. The first one, a little over 2 weeks. The second one, a little over a month. And now this would be the third one. Initial placement just got put on there last week, and it gave projection and fulfillment of last week. The indication from it in this placement appears to be maybe the short-term move upside, that one candle there to the upside, then followed by obviously generalized perspective of macro movements in downside, continuation to downside either after a short-term upside and then rejection and or just continuation. It doesn't necessarily have to run every single candle with this. Also, real quick, with both the snake, the intra-week snake, and the macro comparative for SPY have never been candle for candle. They've never been presented to that as that. They've never been assumed as that or interpreted as that. So I just want to make that very clear. So when I say things like it's showing a potential short-term upside move, I'm just being descriptive with you as to what this is actually showing. Not that in any way, shape, or form I personally think that or anything outside of that. Just I am interpreting what this is showing currently in its state. I just want to make that very, very, very clear to everybody. Okay, then the I did erase, well, real quick. This was in the understanding that there was a potential, we talked about this last week. If you're new here, you're not going to understand this, but there may have been a potential diversion from the current snake last week after reevaluation of placement and put back on. We see that there wasn't. However, the snake that was pulled in lieu of that had that diversion come to fruition was this, and we are still following that as well, and it essentially just runs with the macro comparative. I had it on the chart. I just wanted to show you since it was on the chart, so I'll get rid of that now. So that's what I'm looking at with the intra-week snake and the macro comparative for SPY. Real quick, I erased the one off AMC by accident. This is the second take for this video, and I didn't clip it to put it back on. However, the intraday snakes that I do, I left Fridays on here for SPY. AMC's was identical to this as far as that goes, as far as literally the movements look the same, and the projection and fulfillment from its clip used intraday live in real time was the same. And here's the one for SPY. These things have been performing unbelievably. So here it was on Friday. It was a 3-piece and it ran almost candle for candle with its projection and fulfillment throughout the day. So I'll be doing that tomorrow in the live stream with the intraday snakes like I have been doing. That is everything I have for this video on AMC, GME, and SPY. Quick reminder, I will be live here tomorrow morning starting at 9 a.m. from market open to market close. Also, AMC's earnings day is tomorrow, so we will probably, more than likely, I'll leave it up to everybody in the live stream, be here streaming late, and we will stream the earnings live here tomorrow after market closes. So if that's something of interest, I'm sure we'll be doing that as well. Like I said, happy Mother's Day to all you mothers. We appreciate you and we were grateful for you. I hope that you were able to enjoy today a little bit. Do y'all's thing. If you wouldn't mind, like the video, leave a comment. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you all tomorrow morning in the stock market live stream at 9 a.m. right here on YouTube and on Twitch. Enjoy the rest of your night. I'll talk to you all then. Later.